Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, verse 45. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajacharya Astotara Sata Shri Srimadesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Shira Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 45. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Naishtraigurnyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nityasatvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nityasatvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nishtraigunya Bhavarjuna Nirdvando Nityasatvasto Niryogakshema Atmavan Traigunya, pertaining to the three modes of material nature. Vishaya, on the subject matter. Veda, Vedic literature. Nistraigunya, in a pure state of spiritual existence. Bhava, be. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Nirdvandva, free from the pains of opposites. Nitya Sattvasta, ever remaining in sattva, goodness. Niryogakshema, free from the thought of acquisition and preservation. Atmavan, established in the self. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Vedas mainly deal with the subject of the three modes of material nature. Rise above these modes, O Arjuna. Be transcendental to all of them. Be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions to the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas deal mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where, in the beginning, there is Brahma Jnasa, or questions on the Supreme, Brahma Jignasa, or questions on the Supreme, transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creating of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the forms of the Upanishads, which are part of the different Vedas, as the Bhagavad Gita is part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishad marked the beginning of transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn to tolerate in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, cold and warmth, and by tolerating such dualities become free from the anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhavarjuna. Nirdvando Nitya Sattvasto Niryoga Kshema Atmavan. So today it is the appearance of Janu. Today those living on the Ganga, they worship Janu. Janu was a great sage who was meditating somewhere in Bengal on the bank of the Ganges. Lord Nityananda actually visited that place. I was just reading. And the story goes that in ancient times, there was a king called Bhagiratha. And Bhagiratha's ancestors, somehow they were all killed by the ocean side in the south of Bengal, what is now known as Ganga Sagar, or the Sundarbans, the great jungles which are in the southernmost parts of Bengal on the bank, on the shores of the of the Bay of Bengal, the Indian Ocean. So Bhagirath's ancestors, they were involved in some dispute with Indra, and somehow they were offering a great sacrifice. This must have appeared in other yugas when sacrifices were recommended for Vedic progress. And in this sacrifice, the horse, it was a horse sacrifice called Ashwamedha Yagya, the horse was stolen by Indra. Somehow there was a confrontation and it all came to a head at Ganga Sagar, south of Bengal, and all these great warriors, these kings, ancestors of King Bhagirath, they were all killed and all the bones were lying there. So this descendant of these killed Kshatriyas, he wanted to liberate his ancestors. That's the Vedic system. That in the Vedic system, very much emphasis is placed upon getting a son. What is the reason? The reason is that the son is able to offer pinda or sacrifices on behalf of his ancestors. Putra. Putra means one who liberates. Trayate means to liberate. And put means hell. One who is able to liberate his forefathers or his father from hell is called a putra. Generally, the woman, they marry and they go and live with their husband's family and become part of that family. But the son, he always stays with his original family. And once a year, devoted sons, even to this day, they go to the bank of the Ganges, or if they can afford it, they go to Gaya, which is further north in the state of Bihar, but near the Ganges. In Gaya, there is a big temple of Vishnu called Vishnupad. The footprint of Lord Vishnu is there, melted in a stone, and this is worshipped. And there they offer sacrifices, they offer food, they engage the local brahmanas, they cook the food, and it is offered to Lord Vishnu on behalf of the father of the son who is offering the sacrifice. And that prasadam is offered to his ancestors and to his departed father. So just in case the ancestors are involved in some inauspicious situation, by offering pinda or prasadam, they can become liberated. Therefore, the son is called Putra. So this Bhagirath, he wanted to liberate his ancestors, and he was advised that if Ganges water could be washed over them, they would become free from the entanglements of material life. So he decided to bring Mother Ganges down from the heavenly planets to this earth planet. So this is how Ganga came down. When she came down to this level, she first came onto the head of Lord Shiva, and from there she came down, and Bhagirath preceded her on his chariot, and he was able to dig a channel in front of her. So she was flowing behind him, and he was riding on the channel, making the riverbed. When Ganga Devi came to Bengal, she was flowing past the ashram of Jhanu Rishi. This Jhanu was in meditation, and this huge noise, this clatter of the chariot of Bhagirath disturbed him, and he opened his eyes and he saw this mountain of water coming, Ganga Devi. But he was such a powerful yogi, he could do the impossible. And the impossible was that he opened his mouth and he swallowed Ganga completely. So Ganga stopped right there. Then Bhagirath offered his respects and his prayers to the sage, and the sage let Ganga out of his right ear, and again she flowed. And ultimately Bhagirath brought Ganga down to the shore of the ocean, a place called Ganga Sagar, and there Ganga washed all the bones and bodies of his ancestors, and they became liberated. So this is the story. So today we are offering prayers to Ganga Devi. But again, these activities are all within the Karma Khanda. In the Vedic system, there are three khandas, or three divisions: Karma Khanda, Jnana Khanda, and Upasana Khanda. Here Krishna mentions to Nishtray Gunya Bhavarjuna, to become free from the three modes. The modes of material nature are ignorance, passion, and goodness. They are the three forces under which everything in the material world is manipulated. And these three forces, they combine together. 3 is 9, 9 is 81. So these three forces, goodness, passion, and ignorance, they create the unlimited varieties, the unlimited shades of material life. But the whole idea is to bring people towards understanding their spiritual nature. So the Vedas, they understand when Krishna created the Vedas, and Vyasadeva, when he divided the Vedic knowledge into the 4 Vedas, Upanishads, Itihasas, Puranas, Mahabharata, he created all these literatures, understanding that the purpose of life is to go towards the light. Tamasima, don't stay in the darkness. Jyotirgama, go to the light. What is the light? The light is to understand the self. The effulgence that we have, everybody has a personality, has a presence that is coming from the soul. That light is there. When the soul leaves and the body is dead, there is no such presence. There is no such light. So Jyotirgama, go towards the light. So the Vedas, even in the Karma Kanda, or the first section of the Vedas dealing with work, they still encourage people to act piously, to move towards the light, to move towards knowledge. I was listening to one of Srila Prabhupada's classes today, and he said, even if a man in India is poor, even if he has nothing, still he is advised in Bengal, go and take bath in the Ganges. So everybody takes bath every day, but if you take bath in the Ganges, you become a little bit purified. Gangara parasa hoile paschata pavan. Narottam Das writes that by repeatedly bathing in the Ganga, paschate pavan, the whole world becomes purified. But tomara darshana Prabhu a Mahagun, that the great quality of the Vaishnava is that simply by seeing a Vaishnava, one can become purified. But that's another story. So we're dealing with the Karma Kanda of the Vedas, or the activities for work. Karma means work. Then there is Jnana Kanda section of the Vedas, which deals with knowledge. And then there is Upasana Kanda, which deals with devotion. So this is a process. First, the sages, they were advising the Kshatriya kings or the administrators to engage their people in good work. Not in good work means avoiding the principles of sinful life. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. These are the 4 pillars of sinful life because they drag us down onto the material bodily platform. If you eat unconsciously, if you practice sex life without any restriction, if you become intoxicated, if you are addicted to gambling, then your progress in the path towards light becomes disturbed. You become like an animal, maybe a sophisticated animal, a 2-legged animal, but an animal. And nowadays we are living in a society where humanity is 99.99% animal. If you read the newspapers, if you go on the internet, if you follow the news, if you follow the activities, it is all about enjoying the body to a greater and greater degree. But that idea of enjoying the body, of enjoying the senses, is the same idea animals have. You do not require a human body to gorgeously satisfy your senses. One of our godbrothers says something interesting about the pigs. He said, it is very difficult to enhance the standard of life of a pig because he eats what he likes, he has sex when he likes, he sleeps when he likes, he has no problems. So if we want to enjoy our senses, if we live for sense enjoyment, then we do not require a human body. Only the human body is the capacity given to move towards the light. So this comes in the Upasana Khanda of the Vedas, and that Upasana Khanda begins with the Upanishads. The regular four Vedas, Atharva Veda, Yajur Veda, Rig Veda, and Sama Veda, they deal with ritualistic sacrifices, with chanting of mantras, singing of songs, performing of sacrifices, and these sacrifices and chanting of mantras are, of course, auspicious. They are Vedic. They take you towards the light, but very, very slowly. You require many, many bursts of such activities to come to the process of enlightenment. And that enlightenment is not possible unless there is mercy from the Supreme Lord or one of his pure devotees. So that mercy is given to us, even though practically 100% of people are living like animals. That mercy was given to us by Srila Prabhupada coming to the West. He came to the West carrying in his heart Lord Govinda. Tomara Ridaya Sada Govinda Vishram. Govinda Kahena Mora Vaishnava Para. That is a song to the Vaishnava, that within your heart, my dear pure Vaishnava, you carry Govinda. And Govinda says that the Vaishnavas are my very heart. Because a Vaishnava doesn't know anybody but me, Krishna says, therefore I do not know anybody except him. And the Vaishnava has the power to cut through the illusion of the Vedas, to cut through the Karma Kanda and bring you not only onto the Jnana Kanda, onto knowledge, but also onto the platform of devotion. Because unless there is devotion, unless there is some love in the heart, it is very difficult to follow the path of devotional service. Indeed, bhakti means love, means affection. It's just like when a person falls in love on the material platform, even though that love, if you analyze it, is mainly lust, still there is enough of the original love in a material relationship that a person will do anything for love. In fact, the whole society is geared toward finding someone to love, finding someone to share. Because we are not independent, we are dependent on God. Just like my fingers are not independent from my body. They're required to be connected. And when they are connected and cooperate with the body by putting food in the stomach, they become enlivened, they become as happy as the body. So in the same way, when we connect with someone and we are able to serve, to give that love, we feel tremendous happiness. But there is only one problem, that the conditions upon which we find material love are temporary and they come to an end. And there are many, many conditions involved in loving someone. And when these conditions are not fulfilled, the love is stopped. But that is not the situation when the original love, the original capacity for love becomes manifested. When the original capacity to love Krishna becomes manifested, we are tapping into what is really our eternal function. Ahaituki apratiyata yenatma suprasidati. That when we worship God, when we worship Krishna, ahaituki, without any hetu, without any reason, that I'm worshiping God because I'm his servant. It is my duty to serve him for his satisfaction, not for my satisfaction. Then apratihata, without any interruption, then yena atma, my soul, suprasidati, becomes fully satisfied. So in the Vedas, Vyasadeva realized that the Karma Kanda is only the first step. The next step is the Jnana Kanda. And therefore he wrote 108 Upanishads. And these 108 Upanishads begin with the first Upanishad called the Isha Upanishad, which Prabhupada translated and commented. Isha means God or the controller. We may believe in God as Krishna or Rama or Jehovah or Allah. We may not. But even one who doesn't believe has to admit that there is a controller. You may be an atheist, that's fine. That is your right. We have been given independence. We want to ignore God, we want to negate his existence, we can do so. But we cannot negate the fact that we are being controlled at every moment. I may be very proud of my hand. I can pick food and put it in my mouth. I can tell my hand, go here, go there. But if I become paralyzed, then I may wish my hand to do so many things, but because it is paralyzed, it cannot move. That means something, some power beyond my wishes and my control is controlling the movement of my hand. And this applies to every activity in material life. Therefore, Isha Upanishad deals with the qualities and the conditions of the Supreme Controller. Isha Avasya Idam Sarvam. It begins by saying everything is controlled by God. Nothing is beyond our control. Nothing is in our control. Everything is beyond our control. Yat kincha jagyatan jagat. Everything in the material universe is controlled and owned by God. When we take birth, we also bring nothing. When we die, we take nothing, but everything is here. So he is the proprietor, that controlling force, which we call Krishna, Parameshwara, Ishvara Parama Krishna. That controller is there. No one can deny. So the Upanishad says, everything in the universe belongs to God and everything is controlled by God. That means that we can take our share, tena tyaktena bhunjitaha, bhunjitaha. We can enjoy what is our necessity, magrida, but we may not hanker, kasyas vidanam, what is somebody else's share. It's just like brothers and sisters living together in a family. The father and mother provide for each child what he needs. And there is no question of one child taking the needs of his brother and sister for his own enjoyment. That will not make the parents happy. That will cause the parents to punish him. So, this is the idea of the Upanishads that teach us the understanding that we have a relationship with God. And the invocation of the Isha Upanishad is Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam, that the Supreme Controller, the person who owns the whole universe, who controls our activities, is Purnam, is complete. And we can see that the material elements, we may use them, we may manipulate them, but they don't disappear, they regenerate themselves. You may take mud, sand, and water and make mud, and you may make a pot, and you may use this earthen pot, and eventually it will crush and it will become powder, and again it will merge into its original elements. So, if we follow the instructions of the Upanishads, then we act in Sattva Guna. And in Sattva Guna, Udvam Gachanti Sattvasta, that if we act in goodness, then we will go up, we will go towards the light. Whereas Madhya Tishtanti Rajasaha, if we act in passion, if we act with a desire to get the results, we remain on the platform of that result. Goodness is exemplified by being detached, that I work as a servant of God, as a servant of the controller, and I rely on him to take care of me for all my needs. Whatever he sends me, I am happy with, just like a servant is happy with whatever the master is sending him. But if you want a result, then there is a barrier between you and the controller. So, then, Madhya Tishtanti Rajasaha. Therefore, you don't make any progress. Tishtanti, you stay in the same place. You don't go towards the light. And, of course, finally, Ado Gachanti Tamasaha. And if you act in ignorance, without any direction from the Upanishads, without any directions from the Vedas, without any direction from the spiritual masters, then Gachanti Tamasaha. You go down, you lose your human life, you become an animal or a plant or even worse, you lose your capacity to make spiritual progress. And you lose your power to not be disturbed by suffering. So this is the idea behind this verse, that Arjuna was acting on the material platform. He was acting on the platform, I, me, and mine, my family, my cousins, my kingdom, my wife, my children. And Arjuna advised him, don't act like this. Be free from this material world. Be free from the modes of material nature. Nishtray guna bhava Arjuna. Become free from the gunas, Arjuna, and become situated in the self. You become free from the laws of material nature. You become free from the influence of the powerful forces of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, by turning towards the self. By turning towards the self, you become strong enough that you accept whatever situation. And if you accept your situation, then you're no longer bound to the material world. Thank you very much. So we have our usual crew that has joined us tonight. Thank you for joining us. Atmavidya Prabhu offers his obeisances to the Vaishnavas. Mr. Shantu is also logged in. Mandi Prior, Hare Krishna. Very nice to see you this evening. Thank you, Mataji. Very nice and very obliged to you that you logged in to listen. Hare Krishna Premavati, Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavats Pranam. Nice to see you speak on Bhagavad Gita. Well, I'm doing my best. It's not very much, but if anything changed my life, it was Bhagavad Gita. It is an endless source of encouragement, knowledge. It is one of the most incredible books. It is the main book on this planet because it's the words of Krishna. Krishna is infallible. Whatever he says is perfect. And the more you read about Krishna, the more convinced you become of your relationship with him. The more convinced you become of his power, of his knowledge. His knowledge in the Gita is so beautiful, it gives you faith, it gives you strength that this source, this person, this Krishna who's speaking is so wonderful. He's able to take care of me. He's able to take care of all my needs, all my fears, all my karma. He's able to guide me back towards the light. Vishwambar Grappa from England has also come. Hare Krishna Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Krishna Premavati comments, it is absurd to think there is no supreme controller, as even in material life, we are controlled by so many laws, rules of natures and persons. Exactly. Only a madman thinks he's free from being controlled. So, if we're going to be controlled, let us be controlled by Krishna. Because his control is like the control of a loving father. And a loving father never becomes angry with his children. He's always happy to help them and to guide them, to nurture them, to take care of them. In the same way, Krishna is happy with every one of us. It doesn't matter in what body we are. Don't think that Krishna, because he's fighting the demons, he's angry at the demons, and because he loves the devotees. The result is the same. Whether the parent chastises the child or whether the parent glorifies the child, the meaning behind it, the purpose behind it is to help the child. And of course, Krishna is very, very powerful. And sometimes he fights with the demons, but it is all play for him because he understands that this living entity, he has taken the form of a demon, and he may hate me and be angry with me at the moment, but actually he is my son, and ultimately I love him and he loves me. It's just like a father. Sometimes he fights with his small children. The small child becomes so angry at the father. Oh, he wants to beat the father. He wants to hit him. He wants to kill him. And the father embraces him and he fights with him. But for the father, it is just pleasure. The father is so powerful, the child cannot hurt him. But the child is thinking, my father is my enemy, so I will fight him. So in the same way, Krishna is dealing with us. And when we wake up to that fact, when we grow up, instead of being small children, then we can understand our eternal relationship with Krishna. And we can become truly happy. And when we become truly happy, the miracle is that everyone around us becomes truly happy also. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya says, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastrikai, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhahoy. That association with devotees, it is so important. Every spiritual book describes the importance of associating with devotees. Even a little association with a devotee who is inspired in his relationship with Krishna can bring us that perfection also. Becoming Krishna conscious is like being surcharged with electricity, with electric power. Anyone you touch, you will feel that current flowing from you to him. So pray to Krishna to make you such a vessel that you can take his power and hand it to anybody. Pray to Krishna, my dear Krishna, I may not be a very good devotee, but please work through me so that everyone I meet, everyone I see, may get a little bit of your mercy. Thank you very much. All glory to Srila Prabhupada, and I'll see you next Friday. And any more comments, you feel free to write, and I will monitor